The Arctic has long been a mysterious land, home to countless strange stories and unsolved mysteries. Many ancient texts have described a mysterious prehistoric civilization here, believed to be a rival of the legendary Atlantis and possessing features as enigmatic as those of the Lemurian civilization. Some theories even suggest that it is a hiding place for UFOs or possibly the headquarters of Nazi Germany during World War II. Notably, the Arctic is also thought to be a gateway to an advanced civilization lying deep beneath the Earth's surface. Given the cover of eternal ice and its unique geographical position, could there be any archaeological discoveries hidden beneath the thick ice of the Arctic? Are we standing before great mysteries yet to be uncovered? Does a magnificent ancient civilization truly exist, buried by time in this land? Let's explore together in today's video and seek answers to these questions. 2 mysterious mummies still intact in the ice. In 2017, archaeologists were stunned to discover and excavate 2 mummies buried in the Arctic. They believe these mummies belong to a Siberian civilization. Specifically, the 2 mummies were found at an archaeological site in Shackled, the capital of the Russian Arctic. Shackled lies on the western part of the Yamal Peninsula, on the shores of the Kara Sea in the Arctic Ocean, with an average temperature of 6 degrees Celsius. Experts excavated the remains of 1 adult and 1 child mummy, which were wrapped in thick fabric, animal fur, and tree bark, and preserved by eternal ice for centuries in the Arctic. What makes this discovery even more remarkable is that the adult mummy was wrapped in a copper shell. Experts believe that this copper shell indicates the civilization's knowledge of metalworking, as they used the copper wrapping to preserve the mummy and prevent bacteria from entering. This is seen as an ancient burial ritual, which included wrapping bodies in thick fabric cocoons and using embalming liquids derived from birch bark. Among the 2 mummies found, the length of the cocoon around the adult mummy is 170 centimeters. Scientists predict that the individual inside may have been about 165 centimeters tall, and after analysis, they confirmed that the mummy was an adult and fully developed. The smaller mummy is believed to be that of a child around 6 months old. The freezing cold weather in the Arctic provided the perfect conditions to preserve these 2 mummies. To this day, the mummies continue to be studied in laboratories, where scientists will conduct genetic, forensic, and historical analyses. They hope that these mummies will provide more information to uncover other mysterious civilizations in the Arctic. The 1,000-year-old princess, mummy with her face still intact. After being buried for 900 years in the Arctic, archaeologists recently discovered a princess mummy from the polar region with her face still perfectly preserved. According to the Daily Mail, the mummy's face and hair remained intact after being removed from the tomb beneath the eternal frozen soil. Scientists estimate that this mummy dates back to the 12th century, about 900 years ago. What amazed scientists was that the mummy's facial features, teeth, and hair were so well preserved. The mummy's face was covered in a layer of green copper, seemingly to protect the deceased on their journey to the afterlife. This princess mummy is believed to belong to a civilization that specialized in hunting and fishing in the icy region. These people were also connected to the Persians. Initially, scientists thought that this area only contained male burials, but this is the first time they have discovered an intact female mummy. This has led to speculation that the mummy was a princess of high rank in this cold land. In addition to a few rings found with the deceased, archaeologists did not discover any other valuable jewelry. Moreover, archaeologists also found a child's body nearby, though it is unclear whether this child was the princess's. However, Russian and South Korean researchers will continue to analyze the mummy to learn more about the lives of ancient peoples, and they hope to reconstruct the woman's face to uncover the mysteries of ancient times from 900 years ago. The secret Nazi base. In October 2016, a groundbreaking discovery rocked the scientific community when Russian archaeologists uncovered a secret Nazi military base in the Arctic. This base, nicknamed Schatzbraber, was located on Alexandra Land, part of the Franz Josef Islands, and was constructed in 1943, just a year after Adolf Hitler launched the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1942. This was a special base for the strategic operations of Nazi Germany throughout World War II. However, the base was abandoned in 1944 after a strange event where German scientists stationed there were poisoned by Arctic bear meat, which led to the base's closure and rapid abandonment. When archaeologists reached the area in 2016, they found more than 500 archaeological artifacts, including ammunition, rusted weapons, military documents, and underground bunkers, known as bunkers, that were still intact beneath the Arctic ice. These findings showed that the base had been well preserved by the ice, despite having been abandoned for over 70 years. One theory suggests that the base was built to search for ancient artifacts, a particular obsession of Hitler, who was fascinated by discovering ancient treasures and lost civilizations. In addition, some experts speculate that the base also had a strategic purpose, supporting German forces in moving military units, particularly submarines, across the Arctic waters. Whatever the exact purpose was, one thing is certain: the area played a significant role in the Nazi military strategy. Notably, after the discovery of the base, the Russian government is now using the area to build its own military base, complete with modern facilities for military and research purposes. Could these discoveries help unravel some of the historical mysteries of World War II? The answer may still be lying beneath the cold Arctic ice, which scientists are diligently exploring to uncover. The cannibal shipwreck. The HMS Erebus, led by Captain John Franklin, set out to explore the Arctic and became trapped in 1846. After 168 years of being lost, the ship was discovered with signs that some sailors resorted to cannibalism to survive. In the mid-19th century, the first human skeletons were found in the Arctic waters near Canada, suspected to belong to the crew of the ill-fated HMS Erebus. The first two skeletons were found on the coast of King William Island in 1859, belonging to two men who had been dead for some time. 10 years later, another skeleton was discovered on the same beach. By 1879, 6 more white skeletons were found, with additional remains turning up in 1932, 1987, and 1992, none of which had been buried. Some of the bones showed bite marks from rodents. Even more unsettling, several skeletons had signs of flesh being stripped, mostly on the wrists. A research team from Canada confirmed that these remains belonged to the crew of the HMS Erebus, led by Captain John Franklin, who became stranded in the ice near King William Island, about 1,200 miles northwest of Toronto, Canada, in 1846, leading to the death of 129 men. In September 2014, explorers discovered a shipwreck in the area, and on October 2nd, the Royal Canadian Geographical Society confirmed it was the HMS Erebus. John Geiger, a member of the research team and president of the Royal Canadian Geographical Society, stated, "The ship is in an incredible condition. It's as though we are on the moon." Another ship that accompanied the Erebus, the HMS Terror, has yet to be found. Both ships disappeared during the Northwest Passage expedition, which sought a sea route connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through the Arctic. The vanished village of 1930. In 1930, a strange and mysterious event occurred in the village of Anjikuni, an Eskimo community located in the Arctic region of Canada. The village, with more than 1,200 inhabitants, suddenly disappeared without any explanation. The government and local authorities sent search teams to investigate, but they found no trace of the missing people. What was particularly odd was that all household items, clothing, and even the hunting rifles of the families were left behind, as if the villagers had suddenly left without taking anything with them. Especially eerie, food was still left on the dining tables, frozen solid, indicating that the villagers had departed in a hurry with no signs of a planned evacuation. After expanding the search area, the authorities still found no clues related to the disappearance of over 1,000 Eskimos. Nearly a century has passed, but this mysterious disappearance remains unsolved. What makes the event even more mysterious is that, just before the villagers vanished, unidentified bright spots appeared on the radar of Washington International Airport, leading many to believe that a UFO or extraterrestrial beings may have been involved in the event. Some theories suggest that the Eskimo villagers were abducted by aliens and taken to another planet, or perhaps to a parallel world. Could this disappearance truly be linked to an alien abduction? Or is there another, more mysterious cause that we have yet to understand? This question remains unanswered, and the village of Anjikuni continues to be one of the greatest unsolved mysteries on Earth. 20,000-year-old woolly rhinoceros mummy. In December 2020, a report from Russia revealed that in August, a prehistoric animal carcass was uncovered from the land and ice in the Arctic region. Having been frozen for a long period, the carcass was exceptionally well preserved until the eternal ice layer began to melt. This animal is a long-extinct woolly rhinoceros, and it is the most intact specimen of a young woolly rhinoceros ever discovered in Yakutsk, containing many internal organs, including teeth, part of the intestines, fat deposits, and tissues after tens of thousands of years in the permafrost. Experts confirm that it was in its growth stage, about 3 to 4 years old at the time of death. After its death, the rhinoceros remained frozen for at least 20,000 years, meaning it is at least 20,000 years old. Externally, the young rhinoceros appeared to be in good health, with no apparent signs of death due to illness, suggesting it might have died suddenly. Archaeologists have analyzed and speculated that the cause of death could have been drowning. In the summer, the woolly rhinoceros, unable to withstand the heat, might have gone for a swim in a river and unfortunately drowned. The mystery of Hyperborea. Our planet is filled with astonishing stories and legends about ancient civilizations that once thrived on Earth tens of thousands of years ago, before modern history was written. Among all the fascinating myths of lands like Atlantis, Lemuria, and Shambhala, there is one special place that captured the attention of ancient Greek historians. It is the land of Hyperborea, believed to be the rival of the legendary Atlantis. According to legend, it was the land where gods descended from the heavens to live, a prosperous place with highly advanced technology. This mythical land was unlike any other, and its people were believed to be immortal. They lived in a democratic society governed by 3 priests of the god Apollo. Every 19 years, the god Apollo would drive his flying chariot to this region. In ancient Greek records, Hyperborea is described as a place inhabited by people as early as 450 BCE. This land is located far to the north, beyond all other known regions, and is the home of the Hyperboreans. It is said that the Hyperborean civilization once thrived in the Earth's far northern regions at a time when the area was still suitable for human life and development. This land is described in some legends as a perfect place on Earth. Some authors even propose theories that Hyperborea could be the Garden of Eden. In Hyperborea, the sun shone year-round, only setting once a year. Some ancient texts suggest that one day there lasted as long as 365 days today, and the people lived to be 1,000 years old without experiencing war or disease. They lived peacefully, composing music and playing instruments. Greek mythology contains numerous details about this mythical land. The ancient Greeks believed that Boreas, the god of the north wind, lived in Thrace, and thus Hyperborea was often thought to be located far to the north of Thrace. Since the Greeks described Hyperborea as a land where the sun shone 24 hours a day, modern authors suggest they may have been describing a place in the Arctic Circle. Greek historian Herodotus also provided a detailed account of this amazing place in his book Histories. Herodotus recorded that the 7th century BC poet Aristeas wrote about the ancient Hyperborean civilization in a poem called Arimaspeia, which tells the story of a journey by the Isidones, who were believed to have lived in the Kazakh steppe. Herodotus also noted that Hyperborea was well known in Northeast Asia. So, if Hyperborea ever existed, where was it? To this day, the existence of Hyperborea remains a widely debated topic in ancient times, despite evidence suggesting this land may have been real. 26,000-year-old woolly mammoth fossil. In October 2021, Russian explorers made an extraordinary discovery when they unearthed the remains of a woolly mammoth on Kotelny Island, located in the far northeastern part of Siberia. The skeleton, dated to about 26,000 years ago, is believed to have been hunted during the Stone Age. Kotelny Island, situated 990 kilometers from the Arctic, is part of the New Siberian Islands and one of the coldest regions on Earth. However, during the time when the mammoth was hunted, sea levels were lower and the climate was milder, though temperatures still remained near or below freezing for most of the year. When archaeologists excavated the skeleton, they reassembled more than 2/3 of it and discovered clear cuts and notches on most of the bones. These marks, created by stone or bone tools, indicate that the mammoth was deliberately butchered, suggesting it was hunted by a group of Stone Age nomadic hunters. Although no tools responsible for the cuts were found, the team did uncover a large number of mammoth tusk fragments, suggesting ancient people crafted tusks into tools. They also found 2 ivory tools, a small spoon and a strange object resembling a rubber broom, which archaeologists are still studying to determine its use. Led by Alexander Kandiba, an archaeologist at the Siberian Institute of Archaeology and Ethnology, researchers believe this discovery provides crucial evidence that Stone Age humans lived and hunted in the far north. While some theories suggest that Stone Age hunters avoided hunting large animals like mammoths, the presence of cut marks on the skeleton proves that humans were capable of hunting such large animals. The mummified giant cave bear. Recently, Russian scientists made a groundbreaking discovery in the field of archaeology when they unearthed a perfectly preserved mummified giant cave bear, Ursus spelaeus, with soft tissue remarkably well preserved after thousands of years under the permafrost of Siberia. This is the first time in history that a complete giant cave bear carcass, including internal organs and its nose, has been found, marking a major breakthrough in research on this extinct species. Previously, giant cave bears were only known through fragments of bones and skulls, but this discovery provides an unprecedented opportunity to conduct in-depth research, particularly regarding the potential recovery of DNA from the species. Dr. Lena Grigorieva from the Northeast Federal University, NFU, emphasized that this discovery is highly significant as it opens up opportunities for comprehensive research on the giant cave bear, a prehistoric species that went extinct about 15,000 years ago. Scientists hope that the analysis of soft tissues will help identify the bear's DNA, paving the way for further studies similar to the research on resurrecting woolly mammoths. The adult bear's carcass was discovered by reindeer herders on Bolshoy Lyakhovsky Island, a cold region in Siberia. At the same time, the carcass of a bear cub was found in Yakutia, one of the coldest cities in the world. Both bear remains will be sent to NEFU in Yakutsk, which has achieved significant success in researching extinct species, including woolly mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses. Experts suggest that in order to determine the bear's exact age, carbon dating analysis will be needed. The melting of the permafrost in Siberia has revealed prehistoric traces that were previously unknown, offering a major opportunity to explore the mysteries of extinct species from thousands of years ago. This discovery not only provides valuable information about animal history, but also represents a significant advancement in scientific research on the Ice Age. The Mongol Empire ruins. Global warming is causing widespread effects, particularly in the eastern Eurasian region, where permafrost is melting. These ice layers have long protected ancient artifacts and remains, but as they thaw, the tombs and mummies from the Mongol Empire era are being revealed, leading to incredible archaeological discoveries. A study published in the journal Communications Biology highlighted new findings from the era of Genghis Khan, the founder of the Mongol Empire, in 1206 AD. Under Genghis Khan's leadership, the Mongol Empire expanded rapidly from Asia into Eastern Europe, creating the largest empire in history. However, much of the evidence from this period had been buried under permafrost and has only been discovered in recent years as global warming has caused the thick ice layers to melt. In 2018 and 2019, scientists uncovered 11 complete skeletons in an ancient burial chamber, even though these remains are over 800 years old. Remarkably, the skeletons were very well preserved. Around these skeletons, archaeologists also found numerous pieces of jewelry and luxury materials, indicating that those buried held high social status. By analyzing proteins in the dental plaque of the remains, scientists discovered evidence of the diet of the Mongol elite, including horse milk, sheep milk, goat milk, and especially Tibetan cow milk. Tibetan cows were of great importance in the culture of the Eurasian mountain peoples, providing food, warm wool for textiles, and fat for making candles. However, researchers also warn that the continued melting of permafrost will lead to the destruction or theft of ancient relics. Julia Clark, an archaeologist, emphasize that while the melting ice makes it easier for scientists to find historical evidence, it also makes these relics more vulnerable to looting. Therefore, protecting these sites from loss remains a significant challenge for the research community. The mass grave in Poland's Death Valley. Recently, Polish archaeologists uncovered one of the darkest secrets of World War II history when they discovered a mass grave containing nearly 500 victims of the Pomeranian massacre. This grave was found in the Pomerania region, the site of one of the most brutal massacres in the history of war, where the Nazis not only occupied the land, but also caused the deaths of thousands of innocent Polish civilians. The majority of these victims were locals, including members of the Polish resistance movement, murdered by the invading forces between 1939 and 1945. In 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland, the Pomeranian massacre became one of the first large-scale massacres. More than 12,000 people were killed in the forests surrounding the village of Piaśnica, and another 7,000 were buried in Szpiegowsk. These killings marked the beginning of the Nazis' brutal actions throughout the war and served as a prelude to the atrocities of the Holocaust. However, the truth about these massacres didn't end there. After the war, the Nazis returned in 1945, continuing their executions and efforts to erase all evidence. In an attempt to conceal the evidence, the Nazi army exhumed the graves and burned the victims' bodies, but their efforts couldn't fully obscure the truth. Using modern technology such as LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists were able to detect traces of these mass graves. By analyzing artifacts and remains, the research team found wedding rings, one of which belonged to Irena Szydłowska, a female fighter in the Armia Krajowa, Home Army. These artifacts not only prove the cruelty of the Nazis, but also reflect the deep loss felt by the victims' families. The researchers hope to identify more victims through DNA analysis, and eventually, Death Valley will become an official war cemetery to honor those who sacrificed their lives for freedom. You see, each discovery opens a new chapter in the painful history of Poland, reminding us of the high price of war and the cruelty humanity is capable of when power is abused. 174. Graves from World War II in China. In Hubei Province, China, archaeologists have recently reported the discovery of a large-scale cemetery containing 174 graves from the Warring States period, one of the most significant historical eras in Chinese history. Specifically, the cemetery, named Baizhuang, is located in Xiangyang City and was discovered by the Xiangyang Institute of Archaeology and Cultural Heritage during an excavation for an infrastructure project last summer. After completing the excavation, the research team confirmed the discovery of a total of 176 graves, most of which date back to the Warring States period, spanning from the 5th century BCE to 221 BCE. This was a time of great turmoil, marked by continuous wars between feudal states until Qin Shi Huang unified China. Although archaeologists have long had limited information about the lives of people during this period, in recent decades, archaeological sites such as tombs, workshops, and villages have gradually revealed many secrets about the technological advancements and daily life of Warring States people. This discovery not only adds to our understanding of Chinese history, but also provides valuable insights into the society, culture, and social stratification of ancient China. During this excavation, the team found over 500 artifacts, including hundreds of pottery items, dozens of bronze objects, mostly weapons such as swords and spears, as well as personal items like combs and jade rings. Notably, one of the largest graves in the area, labeled M3, contained a rich collection of items, including ceremonial vessels and a chariot with 2 horses buried nearby. These findings further support the theory that the M3 grave belonged to a high-ranking noble in society. With the large size of the graves, especially M3, which is over 9 meters long and nearly 5 meters wide, archaeologists believe these tombs were those of influential figures in Warring States society. This discovery not only offers a new perspective on the Warring States period, but also contributes to shedding light on various aspects of ancient Chinese civilization. USS Edol shipwreck. After more than 80 years lying at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, the USS Edol, a symbol of sacrifice during World War II, has finally been discovered by the Royal Australian Navy. The USS Edol was sunk on March 1, 1942, during a fierce battle with the Imperial Japanese Navy, and since then, the story of the ship and its more than 200 crew members has become an integral part of war history. The ship, which was 96 meters long, was built in 1919 and joined the U.S. Navy in 1920. It participated in numerous important campaigns, particularly in protecting convoys from Japanese attacks in the Australian waters. On March 1, 1942, the Japanese Navy launched an attack on the ship. During the prolonged battle, Edol avoided many heavy artillery strikes, earning the nickname Dancing Mouse from the Japanese troops. The Japanese Air Force later joined the attack. After hours of fighting, Edol sank with over 200 crew members, having only been struck by a single fatal blow among thousands of incoming rounds. The U.S. Navy reported that nearly the entire crew perished, turning the site into a sacred place. War crime tribunals held after the war revealed that a few survivors were rescued by the Japanese fleet but were later executed. The discovery of the USS Edol wreck is not only a significant milestone in the effort to preserve history, but also a way to honor those who sacrificed their lives for freedom. Speaking about the discovery, U.S. Ambassador to Australia, Caroline Kennedy, remarked, "Now we can preserve this important site and hope that the families of these heroes will know their loved ones can rest in peace." The discovery of the ship was made using advanced autonomous robot technology, which helped locate the wreck on the ocean floor. However, detailed information about the condition of the ship and conservation plans remains limited. Nevertheless, the USS Edol will not only live on in the memories of loved ones, but also serve as a testament to the courage and noble sacrifice of the American sailors in a brutal war. Treasure in an ancient castle in Poland. A strange discovery has recently been made by archaeologists in the city of Nowy Sącz, Poland, when they uncovered a treasure chest filled with precious artifacts from the 14th century. This treasure was found during an excavation at the Royal Castle on Castle Hill, a site that once played a significant role in Polish history. The items found include silver cups, exquisitely crafted vases, cutlery, and porcelain items, silent witnesses of a past filled with sorrow. Experts believe these may have belonged to Jewish families living in Nowy Sącz before World War II who endured immense suffering as their lives were destroyed. Archaeologist Bartłomiej Urbanski, who participated in the excavation, stated that the treasure could have been hidden by the Nazis after the war broke out. In 1941, the Jewish people of Nowy Sącz were moved into a ghetto, which was then destroyed in 1942 along with the massacre of its residents. At that time, the royal castle was used as barracks for German soldiers, and it wasn't until the war ended in 1945 that the castle was reclaimed by the Polish. After more than 80 years, these items have finally come to light, reviving painful memories of the past. The archaeologists have discovered a total of 103 silver objects produced in Poland and Austria. They have stated that after completing their research, the treasure will be moved to a local museum where these artifacts will continue to tell the tragic story of those who were lost in the war. Additionally, in another development, international news reported in May that another treasure may lie deep beneath a medieval castle in Poland. This treasure is believed to contain 28 tons of gold, worth up to 1.5 billion USD, hidden by Nazi Germans in the final days of World War II to prevent the Soviet Red Army from seizing it. This gold, including gold bars, jewelry, and gold coins, may still be buried, waiting for the day it is discovered. 200. Human remains from World War II in Singapore. The area behind Alexandra Hospital, once a significant medical center during the war, is now slowly revealing a bloody secret from history. This is where it is believed that the remains of around 200 victims lie, those who perished in a tragic event on February 14th and 15th, 1945, when the Japanese army invaded the area of the hospital and theater. At that time, Alexandra Hospital, known as the British Military Hospital, was an important medical facility run by the British Army in Singapore, which was then part of British Malaya. The Japanese Army's attack caused innocent victims to lose their lives, and the area became a part of an unforgettable, painful memory. Alexandra Hospital later became a civilian facility owned by the Singapore government after the British left the island in 1971. Recently, when plans to expand the hospital were initiated, this area once again caught attention, as it is believed to be a mass grave of victims from this historical tragedy. The Singapore authorities quickly launched surveys to uncover the story behind this site. A spokesperson for the Singapore National Heritage Board, NHB, stated that since December 2020, the archaeological team has been conducting detailed research of the area using ground-penetrating radar (GPR) equipment to detect any remains buried beneath the ground. This tool helps identify anomalies in the earth, such as the foundations of old buildings, earth cavities, or pits dug in the past. The survey has been completed, and the findings are now being analyzed. If any significant material or evidence is discovered, the archaeologists will continue to investigate to determine if further research is necessary. Archaeologist John Miksic from the National University of Singapore shared that these discoveries could help shed light on the relationship between the British military and the local society of Singapore during the colonial period. However, he also emphasized that it is difficult to definitively conclude whether the remains found belong to victims of the massacre, although the likelihood of discovering a mass grave is high. A World War II bomb in the drought-stricken Po River region of Italy. Specifically, on July 25th, in the dry region of the country's largest river, local fishermen discovered a 450-kilometer bomb that had been submerged underwater for more than 70 years. This bomb dates back to World War II, and as the water level significantly lowered due to severe drought, it was brought to light. Colonel Marco Nassi, in charge of handling the situation, stated, "The bomb was found on the bank of the Po River when the water level dropped due to the drought. This discovery led to a dangerous and complex bomb disposal operation. The bomb contained 240 kilograms of explosives, and removing the fuse required extreme caution, prompting the evacuation of around 3,000 people living nearby to ensure safety during the bomb disposal process." Mayor of Borgo Vergilio, Francesco Apporti, shared, "Initially, some residents were unwilling to relocate, but after a few days of persuasion, we managed to evacuate everyone from the area. The airspace over the area was also closed, and road and rail traffic was temporarily disrupted. After successfully disarming the bomb disposal team transported it to a quarry in Medole, 45 kilometers away, for a controlled explosion. This is part of Italy's ongoing efforts to protect the community from the lingering dangers left by World War II, relics that silently endure through time. This threat comes against the backdrop of the country facing the worst drought in 70 years. Authorities have declared a state of emergency in the areas surrounding the Po River, which supplies water for about one-third of Italy's agricultural production. The warning about nature's harshness is not only a battle with the climate, but also a reminder of painful memories that still lie beneath the sea and the earth, adding to the worries of a country that has already faced many challenges. The secret submarine wreck off the coast of Greece. With patience and determination, in 2023, veteran Greek diver Kostas Thoctarides made a groundbreaking discovery in maritime history when he found the wreck of the HMS Triumph submarine, lying 203 meters deep on the Aegean Sea floor, just 10 kilometers from Cape Sunion. According to Thoctarides, the submarine was in relatively good condition, with hatch doors sealed and the periscope retracted, indicating that the vessel was submerged when the incident occurred. However, the submarine's bow was severely damaged by an explosion, which may have been the main cause of the sinking. The team of divers collaborated with submarine and torpedo experts to analyze the cause of the explosion and why the submarine was unable to return. They speculated that the explosion could have originated from one of the submarine's own torpedoes, a possibility supported by the traces found around the vessel. Rena Giatropoulou Thoctarides, a member of the search team, commented, "I believe all 64 crew members were inside the submarine because all the hatches were closed when the accident occurred." Throughout World War II, the HMS Triumph played a special role in rescuing British prisoners and supporting critical intelligence operations for Greece. However, in December 1941, during a mission to rescue a group of British prisoners from Antiparos Island, the submarine failed to complete the mission and went missing on January 23, 1942. The search for the vessel lasted more than 2 decades and faced numerous challenges due to harsh weather conditions and strong currents. However, with the help of modern technology, the diving team used remotely operated underwater vehicles, ROVs, to reach depths that humans could not descend to, helping locate the wreck. The discovery of the HMS Triumph submarine is not only a significant step in historical preservation efforts, but also a testament to the sacrifice of its crew members. The mysteries of the ship remain, but it serves as a reminder of the bloody days of war and the unwavering courage of the soldiers. The wreck of the ship, carrying 1,060 prisoners that sank over 80 years ago. After more than 80 years of waiting, a tragic chapter in Australia's maritime history was finally closed when the wreck of the Montevideo Maru, carrying 1,060 prisoners, was discovered off the coast of Luzon Island, Philippines, more than 4,000 meters beneath the South China Sea. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles officially confirmed this discovery in a video posted on his Twitter account on April 22nd. He shared that this discovery not only marks a deep-sea survey achievement, but also brings closure to one of the greatest tragedies in the nation's military history. On July 1, 1942, during World War II, the Montevideo Maru was on its way from Australia's former New Guinea territory to Hainan Island, which was occupied by Japan. On board were 1,060 prisoners, including 850 Australian soldiers. While transporting prisoners, an American submarine launched a torpedo at the Montevideo Maru, causing it to sink instantly. Tragically, the ship was not marked as a prisoner transport, making rescue and identification efforts extremely difficult. Deputy Prime Minister Marles, visibly moved, said, "Not knowing the location of the Montevideo Maru at the time meant many families were unable to say a final goodbye to their loved ones. Therefore, this discovery is seen as a source of comfort for the families who lost loved ones in this painful event." Australian authorities have thanked those who contributed to this long search, including deep-sea survey experts and members of the Australian Armed Forces. In particular, Lieutenant General Simon Stewart, Chief of the Australian Army, expressed gratitude. A loss like this lingers for decades and serves as a reminder to us all of the price of war. Never forget. Along with words of thanks from Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, this discovery is not only the result of persistent efforts, but also a reminder of the great sacrifices made by Australian soldiers in wartime. Wreckage of American aircraft from World War II in Hong Kong. Specifically, the research team, led by archaeologist Michael B.C. Rivera from the University of Hong Kong, along with 250 volunteers, discovered over 600 wreckage pieces, including propeller parts and landing gear measuring up to 2 meters, from an aircraft believed to have crashed during the final months of World War II. Notably, some of the wreckage had serial numbers, which could be the key to confirming that the aircraft was a TBM-1C Avenger, a U.S. military fighter plane. Although the aircraft crashed on January 16, 1945, during a brutal American airstrike on Japanese bases in Hong Kong, it wasn't until 2011 that Tai Tam Park was identified as the crash site. Amateur historian Craig Mitchell was the first to discover traces of the crash after years of investigation. However, it wasn't until last year that the research team was able to begin excavation after the COVID-19 pandemic delayed many plans. During the search, archaeologists and experts from the University of Hong Kong, the University of Science and Technology, Baptist University, and the Chinese University of Hong Kong employed advanced technologies such as photography, video recording, and 3D modeling to analyze the wreckage. American experts William Belcher and Andrew Pietruska, with extensive experience in Avenger aircraft excavations, hypothesized that the wreckage likely belonged to a TBM-1C Avenger, one of the primary fighter planes during World War II. The results of the search will be published in a scientific paper next year. This discovery is not only an important archaeological find, but also an opportunity to attract the community's, especially the younger generation's, interest in history, science, and in archaeology. A treasure of priceless artifacts. In the summer of 1974, two farmers in China, Sun Benli and Zhao Genwang, accidentally discovered a priceless treasure of ancient artifacts while digging lime pits on their farm. While working, they unexpectedly came across a deep pit, and upon continuing to dig, they uncovered a bronze pot filled with valuables, including gold and other precious items. News of the discovery quickly spread, attracting the attention of many, including some who were eager to steal the gold they had unearthed. In response to the tense situation, Sun Benli and Zhao Genwang decided to report the find to the village chief and local authorities. The following day, the local government sent a team to recover the gold and other valuable artifacts. In total, 392 pieces of gold, along with several cultural relics, were taken to the museum. However, some artifacts, including 2 spoon-shaped items, were melted down and could not be surrendered. After archaeologists conducted tests, they discovered that the bronze pots and gold inside were actually ancient bronze incense burners from the Warring States period, a time that had a profound impact on Chinese history. What particularly amazed the experts were the spoon-shaped artifacts. They turned out to be a special form of currency from the state of Chu, cast from silver, a rare material at the time. The technique used to mint these coins was highly sophisticated, making them incredibly valuable treasures. Experts estimate that the total value of the artifacts Sun Benli found could exceed 400 million USD, an enormous sum. This discovery holds not only financial value, but also significant historical meaning. The mummy of a woman with eyes still open. In 2010, Egyptian archaeologists discovered the mummy of a woman who lived around 2,300 years ago in the Bahariya oasis, located in the Libyan desert, about 300 kilometers southwest of Cairo. This discovery was part of excavations of 14 tombs in the area, and the Egyptian Ministry of Culture believes these tombs may be part of a larger cemetery. The mummy was found inside a gypsum sarcophagus, approximately 1 meter long, intricately carved, and with a very unique shape. The coffin is designed to resemble Roman clothing, with a long cloak, headscarf, bracelets, necklace, and shoes, clearly highlighting the influence of Roman culture during this period. Notably, 2 gemstones were placed in the sarcophagus eye sockets, giving the impression that the mummy's eyes were still open, creating a lifelike image. According to Zahi Hawass, the Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, the archaeological team believes this is the mummy of a woman, possibly someone of small stature or youth. Furthermore, the tomb housing this mummy has a unique design, with staircases and corridors dating back to around 300 BCE. The Bahariya oasis is famous for large archaeological discoveries, and this is not the first time mummies have been found there. Previously, in 1996, a major discovery was made with 17 tombs containing 254 mummies. These discoveries belong to the period when Egypt was under Greek rule, starting from Alexander the Great's conquest in 332 BCE. Although Alexander was the king of Macedonia, during his reign in Egypt, the country was strongly influenced by Greek culture, particularly among officials and the ruling class. Perhaps the blend of Greek culture with traditional Egyptian customs led to distinctive features in art and architecture, and recent discoveries at Bahariya Oasis continue to shed light on this cultural relationship, offering opportunities to better understand the life and beliefs of ancient Egyptians during the Greek-Roman period. Ancient 4,000-year-old nun's remains. A groundbreaking archaeological discovery was recently made in Egypt, where the remains of an ancient Egyptian nun were unearthed after nearly 4,000 years. The tomb, located in the city of Asyut, about 320 kilometers south of Cairo, was discovered during excavations between August 18 and September 17, 2024. The nun, named Idi, was the daughter of Jefai Hapi the Pharaoh, a prominent official in ancient Egyptian society around 1880 BCE. According to the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, Jefai Hapi the Pharaoh is considered one of the most important rulers of Egypt's territories. Idi was a nun and referred to as the Lady of the House, suggesting that she came from a wealthy and high-status family. After her death, her body was mummified, with her internal organs, including her liver, spleen, lungs, and intestines, removed and preserved in separate jars. Preliminary studies of Idi's bones indicate that she died before the age of 40 and had a congenital foot deformity. This discovery not only sheds light on her life, but also raises many questions about the health conditions of the elite in ancient Egyptian society. The most striking discovery during the excavation was 2 nested wooden coffins, one of the finest ever found. The inscriptions and illustrations on the coffins depict the journey of the deceased in the afterlife, a typical feature of ancient Egyptian burial customs. Both coffins were made from foreign wood, sourced from outside Egypt, highlighting the social connections and importance of Ides' family. Funerary items, including a dagger and wooden figurines, were also found in the tomb, possibly intended for Ides' use in the afterlife. However, Ides' tomb had been forgotten and showed signs of long-term looting, with many jewelry items and metal objects stolen. Despite this, the remaining artifacts on her clothing and bones still provide valuable information about Ides' life and status. The 4,400-year-old tomb of the pharaoh's son-in-law. On October 7, 2023, archaeologists rediscovered an ancient tomb that had been lost, containing the well-preserved remains of Ptah, an ancient Egyptian official and son-in-law of a pharaoh. This tomb, dating back around 4,400 years to the 25th and 24th centuries BCE, was identified by researchers at the Czech Institute of Archaeology at Charles University in Prague in 2022 using satellite imagery and ancient maps. However, excavation work only resumed in 2023. The tomb had been partially discovered about 160 years ago by French archaeologist Auguste Mariette, who uncovered a decorative false door with detailed beams. But the tomb was later buried under desert sand. This false door included inscriptions about Ptah's career, revealing that he was the first person outside the royal family permitted to marry a princess, the daughter of Pharaoh Userkaf. This is significant as it demonstrates a shift in ancient Egyptian social structures where marriage into the royal family was extremely rare for non-royals. The tomb also contains important information about the religion and politics of the time. Ptah is believed to have proposed the introduction of the god Osiris into Egyptian temples, a move that had a profound impact on ancient Egyptian religion and culture. The tomb revealed a monumental structure measuring 41.8 meters in length and 21.9 meters in width, including an intact chapel with painted murals at the entrance and a long corridor. While the tomb may have been looted in the past, archaeologists still discovered some funerary items, offerings, and a fish buried with Ptah. What is most remarkable is that Ptah's mummified body remained intact in the coffin, even though the coffin had been partially opened. Egyptian anthropologists examined the remains, providing crucial information about the development of mummification techniques during Egypt's Old Kingdom, especially in the preservation of the body and burial goods. Calling Ptah's tomb an invaluable archaeological discovery, shedding new light on the history, religion, and culture of ancient Egypt is truly not an exaggeration. Special mummies in ancient Egyptian tombs. Over 30 ancient tombs have been excavated in Aswan, a historic city located along the Nile River in Egypt, yielding impressive discoveries about the people who lived there during the Greek-Roman period. These tombs date from around 332 BCE to 395 CE, reflecting a vibrant era in this important trading port, which served as a center of commerce between North Africa and the subtropical regions. Archaeologists have uncovered numerous mummies, coffins, papyrus or carton materials made from recycled papyrus and fabric, clay pots adorned with grapevine motifs, and various artifacts such as altars. According to Patrizia Piacentini, an Egyptologist and archaeologist at the University of Milan, Aswan was a wealthy and significant location for regional merchants and played an essential role in ancient Egyptian history. The tombs were discovered on a hill near the tomb of Aga Khan III, with stairs leading to different levels, a unique feature in the design of tombs from this period, especially when compared to the usual 2 to 3 level tombs. Researchers confirm that these tombs were built over a span of 900 years, from the 6th century BCE to the 3rd century CE, covering the Persian period, the Ptolemaic Greek dynasty, and the Roman Empire. The tombs at the top of the hill were generally reserved for the upper class, while the lower levels housed the middle class. A remarkable discovery was that 30 to 40% of the mummies found in these tombs were children, ranging from newborns to 2 years old, suggesting that a plague may have affected the families buried there. Archaeologists found that many families were buried together, including parents and children. One interesting finding was 2 mummies initially believed to be a mother and child, but after analysis, it was revealed that they were actually siblings buried with their parents. To understand the cause of death, The research team collaborated with doctors at Aswan University Hospital to conduct X-rays, CT scans, and DNA analysis. The results indicated that anemia and infectious diseases, such as tuberculosis, were the primary causes of death. Doctors confirmed that some of the mummies showed signs of tuberculosis, which may have spread within families. Piacentini noted that this discovery provides valuable new information, and the research team is conducting biological analyses to learn more about the diseases that affected people during this period. The team has currently mapped at least 300 tombs in the 20,000 square meter cemetery, opening up opportunities for further research into life and death in ancient Egypt. The tunnel to Cleopatra's tomb. For nearly 20 years, archaeologists have been searching the area around the temple of Taposiris Magna, hoping to find the final resting place of Queen Cleopatra of Egypt and her consort Mark Antony. Finally, on November 9th, they made an unexpected breakthrough. The Egyptian team, along with foreign colleagues, discovered a tunnel cut into the rock beneath an ancient temple, which they believe may lead to the tomb of Queen Cleopatra. The rock tunnel is located about 13 meters underground, stretches over 1,300 meters, and has a height of around 2 meters. Excavating this site is extremely complex and challenging due to parts of the tunnel being submerged in water, and the temple has suffered several earthquakes throughout its history, causing damage in many areas. Researchers estimate that the tunnel dates back to the Ptolemaic dynasty, from 304 to 30 BCE. In addition, archaeologists also discovered several artifacts inside the temple, bearing images and the names of Queen Cleopatra and Alexander the Great. Queen Cleopatra died by suicide after her Roman consort, Mark Antony, took his own life following their defeat. Scholars believe Cleopatra planned a joint burial for both herself and Mark Antony, and now archaeologists hope to soon uncover their tombs during the ongoing excavation of the ancient tunnel. Expert Martinez predicts that if Cleopatra's tomb is found, it will be the most significant discovery of the 21st century. A 3,500-year-old treasure in a royal tomb. In September, a remarkable archaeological discovery was made at the Dra El Naga Cemetery, near Egypt's famous Valley of the Kings. Archaeologists uncovered a royal Egyptian tomb dating back 3,500 years, containing invaluable artifacts such as jewelry, mummies, and wooden coffins. The tomb consists of a small chamber near the surface and a sarcophagus chamber 8 meters underground, where 8 mummies were found. In the tomb, archaeologists discovered the remains of the deceased along with burial items, including 4 wooden coffins, jewels, and 150 Ushabti figurines, small statues believed to serve as servants for the nobility in the afterlife. Other valuable archaeological items were also found, helping researchers better understand the burial customs and beliefs of ancient Egyptians. One particularly special find was the discovery of 50 ancient seals, 40 of which belonged to 4 Egyptian officials from previously unknown periods. This suggests that the tomb may have been connected to important figures in ancient Egyptian society. 3 mummies found in 2 nearby coffins date from the Middle Kingdom, 2050 to 1800 BCE, demonstrating the continuity of burial practices over the centuries. Egypt's Minister of Antiquities, Khaled Al-Nani, emphasized that these discoveries are of immense importance for understanding Egypt's cultural and historical fields. The oldest animal fossils. An international research team, including experts from the University of Oxford and Cambridge, UK, along with Memorial University, Canada, has discovered more than 100 fossils of rangeomorphs, a plant-like organism resembling the fronds of ferns, dating back between 550 to 580 million years. These fossils were found in the Mistaken Point Ecological Reserve in Newfoundland, Canada, a site renowned for its valuable fossil discoveries of ancient life forms. Rangeomorphs, which resemble modern-day feather corals, are among the earliest forms of life on Earth. The fossils are quite small, with a length of less than 3 centimeters, most being under 6 millimeters. However, when fully grown, these organisms could reach lengths of up to 2 meters. Analysis of the fossil samples reveals that rangeomorphs were complex multicellular organisms that lived during the Ediacaran period, around 542 to 635 million years ago. which is considered the first appearance of animal life on Earth. Dr. Martin Brazier, a member of the research team, stated that these are the oldest animal fossils ever discovered. These organisms lived on the seafloor and were later buried under volcanic rock on a nearby island. This discovery not only reinforces previous scientific theories about the emergence of the first animals on Earth, but it also helps scientists better understand the development of life during Earth's early stages. This could be a major step in unlocking the mysteries of ancient life and contribute to our understanding of the evolutionary process of our planet. If you're someone passionate about exploring the mysteries of the ancient world, I'm sure you'd find this discovery fascinating. Mummified girl found in pharaoh's tomb. Archaeologists have spent many years researching and excavating archaeological sites across Egypt, particularly along the Nile River, famously known as the Valley of the Kings. This region is home to countless tombs and precious artifacts, including the treasures and secrets of ancient Egyptian civilization. One of the most notable discoveries was the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, found in 1922 in the Valley of the Kings, where Egyptian pharaohs and powerful officials from the New Kingdom period were buried. The tomb of King Tut made headlines when archaeologists uncovered not only the pharaoh's mummified body, but also countless artifacts to assist him in his journey to the afterlife. However, a recent new discovery within Tutankhamun's tomb has stunned researchers. This discovery was featured in the documentary Secrets: The Last Mission of King Tut, broadcast on the Smithsonian Channel, where two mummified girls were found perfectly preserved. After DNA analysis, scientists discovered that these two little princesses were likely the daughters of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Sadly, both girls were stillborn, one around 4 months and the other nearly 9 months. However, what is remarkable is that both were carefully mummified and buried alongside their father. Professor Salima Ikram, an Egyptologist at the American University in Cairo, noted that mummification of children was not uncommon in the ancient world, but the fact that they were placed in the tomb of the pharaoh is a very special event. According to Dr. Joyce Tildesley, these mummies could be the final insurance policy for King Tut, representing the ancient Egyptians' preparations to protect the pharaoh on his journey to the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that children and women could serve as protectors, accompanying the pharaoh in his battle against dark spirits. This discovery further highlights the mystery and wealth of Tutankhamun, the king who ruled Egypt for about 10 years before dying at the age of 18 in 1323 BCE. The 2000 ram heads fossil. Archaeologists from the Institute for the Study of the Ancient World at New York University recently discovered more than 2,000 mummified ram heads in a temple in Sohag, southern Egypt, dedicated to Pharaoh Ramses II. The discovery of the ram heads in Ramses II's temple at Abydos, one of Egypt's most famous archaeological sites, is a testament to the reverence held for the pharaoh. In ancient Egyptian culture, male rams were symbols of power and fertility, and they were associated with the god Khnum, a creator god depicted with the head of a ram. These ram heads, along with other offerings such as dogs, wild goats, cattle, antelope, and ostriches, were presented as part of the ritual honoring Ramses II nearly 1,000 years after his death. In addition to this discovery, the archaeological team unearthed a building dating back about 4,000 years, constructed during the 6th dynasty of ancient Egypt, 2345 to 2181 BCE, as well as many other important artifacts like statues, papyrus, leather garments, footwear, and remnants of ancient trees. One of the notable finds was a large structure with a wall about 5 meters thick, providing archaeologists with insights into the landscape of Abydos before Ramses II's temple was built. The mysterious remains in clay coffins. On February 24, 2020, archaeologists discovered 83 tombs containing the remains of ancient Egyptians in the Dhekelia region, located in northern Egypt. What makes this discovery particularly unique is that the bodies were not buried in stone coffins, as is commonly seen in other archaeological sites, but rather in coffins made of clay. This is a remarkable finding that raises many questions about burial practices during this period. According to Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities, this discovery has drawn significant attention from experts, particularly 3 tombs dating back to the Naqada III period, around 3100 BCE. During this time, Egypt's upper-class individuals were typically buried in tombs constructed from mud brick or in wooden coffins. In contrast, the poorer people were often buried in simple, shallow graves with no coffins. This is why the finding of clay coffins in these tombs has sparked so much curiosity. This discovery leads archaeologists to believe that the Dhekelia region may have been a densely populated area and home to many ancient Egyptians. Ancient skeleton with a prosthetic arm. Recently, archaeologists discovered a very special fossilized skeleton at a Longobards cemetery in northern Italy. This skeleton belonged to a man who lived during the Middle Ages, from the 6th to the 8th century AD. What is noteworthy is that this man lived his entire life with a knife attached to his right arm in place of a missing hand. This made the skeleton stand out among hundreds of others buried in the area. The man was later determined to have been between 40 and 50 years old when he passed away. His right arm was lost due to a blunt injury, though the exact cause of the loss remains unclear. Researchers led by archaeologist Ileana Micarelli from Sapienza University in Rome speculate that the amputation might have been due to a severe injury, such as a broken arm from an accident or possibly the result of a battle, which is a possibility that cannot be ruled out, given the Longobard culture's warrior characteristics. What's even more fascinating is that the forearm bones, where the hand had been severed, show signs of a prosthetic, as the bones had developed scar tissue and bone spurs from mechanical pressure. These signs suggest that the man may have used some sort of prosthetic device to replace his lost hand. Additionally, wear marks on his teeth indicate that he might have used his mouth to tighten a strap that held the prosthetic in place. Another interesting detail is the way the skeleton was buried. Instead of placing weapons and hands next to the body, as was done with other skeletons, this man had his right arm bent at the elbow, placed across his body with a knife next to it. The knife had a hilt connected to the severed wrist. Moreover, archaeologists discovered a D-shaped clasp and decomposed organic material, possibly leather, suggesting that a leather sheath was used to attach the knife to his severed arm. While many details remain unclear, this discovery sheds light on the remarkable survival story of the Longobard man during a time without modern medicine, and also reflects the care and empathy of the community for those with disabilities. The woman with abnormal skeleton. A remarkable archaeological discovery made in 2007 at All Saints Church in York, England, revealed a strange story about a woman who lived during the Middle Ages. The skeleton was found in an unusual hunched position in a small room behind the altar, a burial posture that was extremely rare for that time period. Archaeologists believe that the skeleton belonged to Lady Isabel German, who is thought to have lived in solitude and seclusion at the church in the 15th century. One of the intriguing details of this discovery is the way the woman was buried in a hunched position, which may suggest she was a person of high status. However, this strange posture could also be the result of disease, particularly arthritis, or the confined burial space. Indeed, through radiocarbon dating and tests on the skeleton, researchers determined that the woman had lived with both infectious arthritis and late-stage syphilis. Signs of syphilis, including bone damage and sores, were visible on various parts of her body. These diseases may have caused severe symptoms, affecting her entire body and diminishing her neurological and psychological health. Although archaeologists cannot be certain how the disease entered her body, they speculate that she may have lived with syphilis for 28 years. This makes her secluded life in a single room at the church more understandable, as she may have avoided contact with others to prevent spreading the disease. This discovery not only offers insight into the life of a medieval woman, but also helps us better understand the devastating diseases that plagued people during a time when medicine was underdeveloped. The story of Lady Isabel German, with her reclusive and painful life, reflects a dark chapter in both medical and social history during the Middle Ages, and it's no exaggeration to say that. 17 skeletons in strange poses in an 800-year-old well. In 2004, when workers began constructing a shopping center in Norwich, England, they accidentally uncovered a bizarre archaeological discovery. 17 skeletons dumped at the bottom of a well dating back about 800 years from the Middle Ages. However, what troubled archaeologists were the positions and condition of these remains. Unlike typical mass burials, These skeletons were found in strange poses, mixed together and piled on top of one another, with the victims' heads facing downward, creating a very mysterious scene. To understand these remains better, archaeologists collected DNA samples and discovered a surprising truth. 6 of the 17 skeletons shared the same genetic makeup, indicating they were close relatives, including 3 sisters, with the youngest being only 10 years old. DNA analysis also revealed that these individuals were descendants of Ashkenazi Jews, a Jewish community from the Middle Ages. Further research helped confirm a painful hypothesis. These skeletons may have been victims of a brutal riot in February 1190 during the Third Crusade, a notorious religious war in history. The Jewish people in Norwich, including these victims, were attacked and killed during the peak of religious tensions in that period. Archaeologists believe these individuals were thrown into the well to bury the pain and brutal deaths they suffered. Twisted 1,300-year-old skeleton. At the Ust-Ivanovka burial site in Primorsky, Siberia, archaeologists discovered a skeleton about 1,300 years old. This skeleton was later given the nickname the Dancer of the Dark Ages due to its incredibly unusual and unprecedented burial posture, belonging to a man around 30 years old who lived between the 7th and 9th centuries. The posture of the skeleton also intrigued archaeologists. According to archaeologist Denis Volkov, the man was buried with his legs as if dancing, with his feet crossed, knees bent outwards, and arms wrapped around his pelvis. This position was completely different from any known burial ritual, raising doubts about the cause of death. Experts suggest the man may have been tied up, as otherwise his limbs would have been straight. Notably, there are no examples of tied-up bodies from the same period in Siberian graves, making this discovery even more puzzling. Aside from the unusual posture, another factor that made this skeleton stand out is that it was found in a rectangular tomb, unlike the other graves in the area, which were round. This raises the question of whether this was a special burial ritual. The other skeletons in the tomb belonged to elderly people who lived unusually long lives, reaching ages of 50 to 70, while this man appeared much younger. In addition to the strange burial practice, archaeologists discovered that the man may have been killed by an arrow, with the arrowhead deeply embedded in his hip. This led them to suspect that he may have died from an attack. Experts also speculate that the man may have suffered from a debilitating disease, such as tuberculosis or syphilis, and they are continuing to study the skeleton to uncover the cause of his death. The mysterious girl lying between seashells. On January 4, 2019, a remarkable archaeological discovery was made along the Caribbean coastline, where scientists unearthed an ancient grave revealing a mysterious girl with athlete-like arms. This grave is considered the oldest in Lower Central America, dating back about 5,900 years, and offers important details about the burial customs of the people in this region during the pre-Columbian era. Professor Mirjana Roksandic, an anthropologist at the University of Winnipeg, Canada, and the leader of the research, explained that although the tropical climate is hot and humid, which usually leads to the decay of bones, the skeleton of this woman was preserved remarkably well. This was due to the elaborate burial methods of her relatives, who used layers of soil and mollusk shells like clams and snails to cover the grave, which helped reduce soil acidity and protected the bones from decomposition. According to the research, the woman passed away at the age of 25 to 40, standing about 1.5 meters tall. However, what was particularly special about her was that her arms were very muscular, like that of an athlete. Archaeologists believe she could have been an expert rower, a tradition that still exists among the people of Monkey Point, where the grave was discovered. This coastal village in Nicaragua, a poor Central American country with a population of around 6 million, is where the burial site was located. The girl was placed lying on her back in the grave, with her knees bent and arms extended along her body. The grave was about 2.3 meters deep in an oval-shaped pit. Above the body was a thick layer of soil, along with mollusk shells, a feature commonly found in ancient sites and possibly linked to burial rituals or marking an important location. This discovery not only gives us a better understanding of ancient burial customs, but also affirms the important role of strong women in society at the time, especially in activities that required physical strength, such as rowing. teenager's skeleton covered in crystals. Discovered in 1989, the Acton Tunikil Muknal Cave, also known as ATM in Belize, is an archaeological site associated with the Maya civilization. Experts have conducted excavations at this cave and made significant findings. Among them, one of the most notable discoveries was the skeleton of a Maya teenager covered in crystals inside the cave. The crystal-covered skeleton has been named Crystal Maiden by scientists. Initially, they assumed it belonged to a woman who died in her 20s. The body was found lying on its back with its mouth wide open, and the entire skeleton was covered in sparkling calcite crystals. However, upon further examination, the experts discovered that the skeleton was not that of an adult woman, but of a 17-year-old teenager. This individual had been sacrificed in a Maya ritual over 1,000 years ago. Researchers also found that the Crystal Maiden's body had 2 broken ribs. The research team believes that this person was violently killed before being thrown to the ground and left in the Acton Tunikil Muknal Cave for over a millennium. Due to its age, the Crystal Maiden's remains had become fully calcified. In addition to the Crystal Maiden, archaeologists uncovered 13 other skeletons of various ages, ranging from children to adults. Inside the cave, many artifacts were found, including pottery, musical instruments, jewelry, small figurines, and stingray bones, many of which had become calcified over time. The Maya people carved the cave to create altars for sacrifices, and images of animals and humans were depicted on the cave walls. Based on these findings, experts believe that Acton Tunikil Muknal played a significant role in the spiritual life of the Maya civilization. The Maya performed human sacrifice rituals in this cave to appease the gods of the underworld, Xibalba. Medieval man's skeleton in Poland. When archaeologists excavated a cemetery near a monastery in Poland, they discovered the skeleton of a medieval man who suffered from 2 different forms of dwarfism, a rare condition never before seen in ancient skeletons. This cemetery is located in the village of Lechno, in central western Poland, which in the 9th to 11th centuries was a fortified town with a small church. In the 12th century, the Cistercian monks established a monastery here, and the cemetery was used for both monks and local residents from 1450 to the 16th century. The discovery was made when archaeologists began excavating the monastery cemetery in 1990 and uncovered over 400 graves. The skeleton labeled 36690 was identified as that of a man who lived between the 9th and 11th centuries. Recently, when studying this skeleton, scientists led by Maciek discovered that the man suffered from multiple skeletal dysplasia, a genetic condition that affects the development and shape of bones, cartilage, muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Specifically, the man appeared to have 2 forms of dwarfism. Researchers created 3D models to analyze the unusual shape of the skeleton and found that the skull was asymmetrical, the spinal canal was narrow, the ribs were short, and the pelvis was flared, suggesting the man had chondrodysplasia, a condition causing shortened limbs while his torso was of average or above-average size. Additionally, his outward-facing elbows and high-arched palate indicated a rare condition called laryngeal dyschondrosteosis. Francesco Galassi, a paleontologist at Flinders University in Australia, noted that while these 2 conditions can coexist in modern medicine, this is the first time they have been identified in an ancient skeleton. Archaeologists are now investigating the man's diet through carbon and nitrogen isotope analysis in hopes of shedding more light on his life and death. Maciek pointed out that the man was buried without any grave goods but in a proper grave, suggesting that he was properly remembered. The 500-year-old human bone wall. On February 18, 2020, archaeologists made an astonishing discovery in the city of Ghent, Belgium, when they found a strange wall constructed from human bones inside the ancient St. Bavaria church. This phenomenon had never been documented before, leaving experts astonished. Project leader Jonik de Gries explained that these walls may have been built around the time when the church's cemetery was being destroyed. Unable to dispose of the skeletons, people from that era repurposed them to build new graves, forming this peculiar wall inside the church. However, further research is needed to clarify the cause and method of construction. The bones found in the wall date back to the 15th century, over 200 years before the wall itself was constructed in the 17th century. During the Middle Ages, people believed in the resurrection of the soul, so bones were often considered the most important part of burial rituals. Sometimes, graves were built along the walls of churches to honor the deceased. Interestingly, most of the bones found in this wall were femurs, tibias, and skulls. De Gries suggested that, during the cemetery's cleanup, smaller bones, especially those of children, may have been overlooked due to lack of time to collect them. Nevertheless, this discovery adds to the series of strange recent finds in Europe related to ancient graves and skeletons. Earlier, in January, archaeologists in Poland uncovered 4 mysterious warrior graves from the 11th century. By early February, more than 40 skeletons with their hands bound behind their backs were discovered at a construction site in the United Kingdom. These discoveries not only reveal unknown secrets, but also raise questions about the customs, beliefs, and mysterious histories of ancient civilizations. What do you think about how these bones were handled? 80 skeletons shackled for over 2,000 years. In 2016, during the construction of an opera house and library between downtown Athens and the port of Piraeus in Greece, the ancient Phaleron Delta Cemetery was uncovered. Archaeologists and experts conducted excavations and discovered 80 skeletons that had been shackled. Many of the skeletons were arranged in long rows on the sandy ground, while others were stacked on top of each other. Their arms and legs were all shackled. Notably, many of the skeletons had their jaws wide open. Dating tests indicated that the skeletons dated back to around 632 BC. Most of the skeletons belonged to young individuals who had been executed while in good health. The 80 people buried in shackles may have been victims of a mass execution. Researchers speculate that these individuals were not slaves or common criminals. Based on the date of the skeletons, experts hypothesize that these individuals may have been supporters of Cylon, who staged a coup in Athens in 632 BC. With the help of his father-in-law, the tyrant of Megara, Cylon attempted the coup but ultimately failed. Cylon was forced to hide in the Acropolis temple while trying to escape. However, his supporters and followers were killed. To this day, researchers have not found conclusive evidence to identify these 80 people, nor have they determined the reason for their execution or why they were buried in such a tormented position. This remains a major mystery for archaeologists. "240 skeletons of black monks." Archaeologists in Wales, United Kingdom, recently excavated an ancient cemetery and discovered over 240 skeletons, believed to be those of individuals who once lived in the grounds of the St. Saviour's Monastery. Founded in 1256 by the Dominican order, these monks were famously known as the Black Monks due to their distinctive black robes. They regularly preached Catholic doctrine on the streets and became an integral part of medieval community life. During the excavation, the research team found special signs on some of the skeletons, including severe injuries like skull punctures. According to Fran Murphy, the lead archaeologist, these injuries may have been caused by various factors, including armed conflicts. One theory is that these skeletons could be victims of a siege in 1405, a tragic event in the local history. In addition to the skeletons, the team also uncovered several tombs, one of which contained the skeleton of an individual believed to be a priest. These findings offer an intriguing glimpse into the religious life and development of the monastery in the medieval period. Archaeologists also discovered some elaborate floor tiles, which may be remnants of a previous church that once stood in the area. It is known that St. Saviour's Monastery operated until the 16th century, when the split between King Henry VIII and the Catholic Church led to the dissolution of monasteries across England and Wales. This excavation not only sheds light on the region's religious history, but also raises many questions about the social and religious upheavals during the medieval period. As you can see, the medieval skeletons found in unusual positions are truly a surprising discovery, opening up many hypotheses about burial rituals and the living conditions of people during this period. The position of the skeletons, with their unusual features, raises many questions about why they were buried this way. Were they victims of violence or part of a special ritual? These discoveries will undoubtedly continue to attract attention and research from archaeologists in the coming years. What do you think about this? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss other fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.